Here we are at the 2026 National Threshers Reunion at Wasion, Ohio. Let's just run around and see what we can see. Got some pint-sized threshers, steam traction engines.
Alright, let's head over by the nickel. I need to check on later.
And let's not get run over by a steam traction engine today. Now, just a reminder, a steam traction engine is a steam engine that can move under its own power. A steam engine may or may not be portable. A portable is towed by horses. Now, you can see this guy has the spark arrestor on his exhaust pipe so he doesn't set the wheat field on fire. Very important not to set the crop on fire. Now, I doubt that is an actual case car. I'm not sure what kind of car that is, to be honest with you. So is this a Buick then, or?
Yes, sir.
Cool. I knew that from the hubcaps. Got an Eclipse, Port Huron. Got those guys we drove by earlier.
With a rough crowd there, girl. He was doing a lot better yesterday with Billy and Van. Running out of options, right?
Got one Eclipse, two Nickel Shepherd, a third Eclipse, Baker, Russell, Port Huron, what do we have over here? That looks like a fresh restoration on that one. She's nice. There he goes. Port Huron. It's a Waterloo Manufacturing Company, Waterloo, Ontario. We got the Ford 900 series, select a speed. No ducks on that Jeep. Empire. see what we got here. Now here we got, it looks like a 57 Chevy with the monster tires, and it's just kind of silly, and I'm here for it. Good old Case SC. John Deere, for sale by owner. Needs a little oil outside of that cheese cherry. Head over to the threshing demonstration, shall we? But first, let's look at the Fergie road roller, shall we? Isn't that awesome? Looks like we got an Avery threshing machine. I can't see what's powering it from here. But it would be worth pointing out, just look at this. Just look at this. There is a very small amount of grain coming through there. Just barely see grain coming out. You got two guys shoveling in. You got a guy on the wagon. You got a guy on the threshing machine. You got the guys who are binding it and bringing it here. Just the sheer amount of people on this crew to do really very little when you get down to it. It looks like we have a baker powering it. OSHA, never heard of her. I'm told they had a lot of mice back in the day. Especially if the stuff had been sitting for any length of time. You can't just open an all-you-can-eat buffet and expect the mice to leave it alone. I don't think that quite counts as a doodle bug, but it's close. Now here's a doodle bug. When you can't quite afford a tractor, but you can get an old car for about nothing, you cobble it up and you get a tractor. I'm told it was quite the thing back in the day. You can see we have a 4-cylinder engine We've probably modified the transmission to give you an extra low gear, at least if you were farming with. Sometimes they'd put two transmissions end to end. Put them both in low and you're plowed, but you're competing with a mule, and you got to remember, you're competing with a mule. That changes the mathematics quite a bit. And I always love these little guys. Again, the orange and lime green rabbit hole. I always loved David Bradley. Just the look of those hoods, just the style. This one's not quite as shiny as the others. I can just feel the heat coming off of these guys. These are Minneapolis. Might also be. Port Huron and the oil pull. Now that thing in the front is a radiator, and there's an exhaust pipe going through it. It pours oil over screens, which preheats you're actually trying to keep the oil hot for your coolant, because this thing ran on the cheapest kerosene you can get their hands on. How any of these survive not burning up is totally beyond me. Because basically you have a heated wick up front in your radiator that you're running your exhaust pipe through. Advance. Nichols Shepherd. And a big Reeves. That is a big honking engine. Canadian special. Beautiful stuff. Absolutely beautiful. And this one's always a crowd favorite. If I recall correctly, somebody scrapped the original wheels before they decided to save it, and so it has a truck rear axle on it. This guy will get out and move. Looks like a locomotive way up in the air. The road locomotive. And it has a B&O. Okay. They run that thing on the track at night and throw a bunch of straw in the boiler, in the firebox, I mean, so it'll throw sparks going around. I stayed and watched it once. I don't think we're staying that late tonight. I'm not a night owl anymore. And of course, there's your old Ford car, which somebody really thought they had something then. Now just driving it looks like work. Well, that's everything in the steam side here at National Threshers Reunion, Wauseon, Ohio in 2026. This lovely June day.